Hello, I'm Paul.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome to the Film Busters podcast. The film show with no filters, no prisoners taken, loads of disagreements, but one hell of a love for cinema.
If you want to hear three friends ridiculing each other for an hour or so regarding their taste in films, then you have come to the right place.
In each episode, one of the team picks a film for us to discuss. It could be anything from a recent cinema release to an all-time classic.
So, strap in and get ready to get mad or get vindicated as we guide you through the murky world of being a film geek.
If you like what you hear, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram using @FilmbustersPod. You can also find each of our individual accounts. I'm at Filmbusters Paul.
I'm at Filmbusters Adam.
And I'm at Filmbusters Ben.
If you want to use your eyes instead of your ears, you can also visit the website at filmbusterspod.co.uk.
And if busting makes you feel good, you can also support us at patreon.com/filmbusters for exclusive content.
Or shoot over and get some groovy merchandise at society6.com/filmbusters.
Alright, can we just get on with this now, please?
Filmbusters. So what do you guys think of the fan favourite award they're going to do at the Oscars?
What the fuck is that?
It's basically if they have like a hashtag. I don't know what a hashtag is, but you basically say what film you want to win it. It could be any film you want. So it makes like more pop culture-y, blockbustery kind of films get an Oscar.
Oh,
really?
Why? Like, they get anyway. Those fucking mainstream films already get enough. No, but like
something like Spider-Man, whatever it is, Homecoming or whatever it is, will win that.
Right. Or like a horror film. Could be anything.
It'll definitely be Spider-Man.
That is a possibility, yeah. But so what I was thinking was, out of all of last year, what film would you want to be given an Oscar for fan favourite?
Well, I would chuck it to Boiling Point, but I don't know if that would have been last year's or not.
Yeah, but Boiling Point is getting Oscars.
No, it hasn't been nominated.
Hasn't it?
No, it should be, but it hasn't.
I think it got nominated for a BAFTA or so, but...
Oh, okay.
In terms of something that's unlikely to pick up an award last year, but should, I will throw my weight behind Halloween Kills.
That is very good. I'd like to see
you really
that.
are going to go down with that ship, aren't you?
Mate,
that is something I'd love to see.
This is a ship that is mighty fine and sailing absolutely strong. Don't worry about that.
I have two choices.
Go on.
One has already been no-noed by the Oscars because apparently it doesn't count because it doesn't get a cinema release.
What is that?
And that is the Snyder Cut.
Oh, right, yes, of course, yep.
But I think that is epic enough to deserve something like that because that is like a fucking beast of a film. But I don't know how this will work because I always count it as a theatrical film. Bo Burnham's inside, man.
I know, but see, it's not, is it? That's the trouble. Bo Burnham's inside is like, I don't know what you call it. It blurs lines.
It does blur lines. That's a fucking performance piece. That is not reality.
I mean, these are arbitrary things anyway. Who makes the rules about what is and isn't a film? Like, what qualifies for the Oscars as a film? It is, like you say, the things that need theatrical release and stuff.
Spielberg says not anything on Netflix.
Yeah, but Spielberg can piss right off, to steal Oti's words, because fucking Martin Scorsese dropping The Irishman on Netflix, and you're going to tell Marty, hey, no, it doesn't count to it on Netflix. Fuck you,
it's
mate.
Like, oh, it's Martin Scorsese,
but it did
though.
go
He
out in the
can get
cinema
it.
though before, didn't it? It had 2 weeks in the cinema
it did.
before
I watched it in the cinema.
A couple of weeks, yeah.
Mm.
But no, fuck that, because great films are dropping straight onto Netflix now. A lot of bad films are, but great ones are dropping straight on.
Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. We talk about that in our monthly roundup.
We do.
If you want to listen.
We absolutely do.
Is it good or bad?
Yeah,
we'll never know unless they listen.
Out. I know. But yeah, I mean, fuck them. Fuck those Academy people.
What do you think, Adam? What would you pick?
I'd say that. Maybe. I think Spencer doesn't get enough credit for the type of how good it was.
Yeah, Spencer she ain't even been nominated. Is that right?
No, she has been nominated, but that's all it's got.
Mm.
But like the score for that is just absolutely incredible.
What, they haven't nominated Johnny Greenwood?
No, he got nominated for some. I think he got
Power
nominated
of the Dog.
Yeah.
No, the score in Spencer's much better. So this Power of the Dog, I don't like. Who's seen it out of you two?
I've seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Like, I just don't. I don't
more
baffled by the day. Like the fact that it's now scooped up all these nominations as well. I'm like, I just don't get it.
It's quite a long and boring film in my opinion. I don't get what happens.
It's very slow and ponderous, and it's almost like, oh, this film's very slow and ponderous, so it must be saying something. It must be saying something important. And if you're bored by it, you simply didn't get it. It's like, fuck you, man. It's just boring, is what it is, and it has no clear ending, no clear middle. I don't know what the fuck it was trying to say, but it wasn't saying anything to me and my heart. There was more heart in Ghostbusters Afterlife than anything in Power of Dog.
Of course.
I'm glad you agree.
Oh, mate. Please. Let's rise up.
You two are the reason why I haven't watched it.
No, there's no point.
I feel like I'm going to have a bad time.
Paul, you'll watch it and you'll 10 out of 10 it, though.
Oh, probably.
You'll be the one saying, you just didn't get it.
You didn't get it.
Here's one, before we move into the topic.
It reminds me a lot of Roma, Paul. Like, that kind of thing. About everyone's like, why didn't you get it? Why didn't you get it? Yeah, it's better, but like, that whole thing, everyone's loving it, and you're like, oh, don't get it.
I know, because people are conditioned to love something before they've even seen it. I hate this trend. I've said it before. You see it online, particularly on Twitter, of people before a film is even released going things like, oh, in 3 weeks, so-and-so is going to be the only thing I'm going to talk about, so you may want to mute this account now, and something like that. It's like, oh, so-and-so is going to take the world by storm. You haven't seen it.
It's like, how about I just fucking unfollow you now and never even listen to anything you got to say?
I know. I know. It just shows that you have no, like, objectivity either. No. Yeah. No, be objective about the fucking piece of work. Like, everything I go into, I hope that I enjoy, because otherwise why would I watch it? But I have to be critical. My question to you boys, following on from that, is what can you think, for you personally, is what many people might consider slow and boring, but you fucking love?
Would you class The Godfather in that category?
Oh no, a lot happens.
A lot happens. It's long. It's not slow though.
I think the keyword boring is the bit that's throwing me off.
Yeah, something that people would go,
you don't like,
nothing
if you like
really
it, you're not
happens.
going to find it boring.
But something other people would go, it's too slow and nothing happens. I think mine, off the top of my head, would be Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. And it's not those things at all, but I could imagine people thinking that and not digging it.
No, I can imagine people thinking that. Yeah, definitely.
About Moonlight, I think that's also kind of...
What is with you, Adam? You are not picking the right films at all.
Well, what do you want then? You're not explaining it very well.
What is slow and boring about Moonlight?
Well, I'm talking about the things where most people say, oh, nothing happens in that film.
No, I'm talking about something where it moves you in your inner core.
Yeah, of course. You can't pick something that's boring and it's one of your favourite films, because you won't see it like that.
What's Adam getting angry at me for?
I can't think of much that
you're not
that a lot of people don't like. But would you count something as like There Will Be Blood?
Yes, that's a good one. Yep. That's actually,
I was going to say
that's
that,
the right
and then
one.
you slagged me off for saying that, so I didn't say it. I was too scared about it.
Oh, diddums.
You were too scared.
I don't want to get shouted at again.
Adam, you're the one shouting at me. Fine, you have Moonlight.
Very good.
Anyway,
shall we move on?
Yeah, what's happening with this episode?
Well, today we're moved on to our new round, and this is 1997.
Wow.
Are we excited for bad CGI? What else in the 90s?
Oh, many things. Paranoid nonsense.
A lot of slashers.
Teenage high school movies.
Yeah, a lot of high school.
Load of teen films.
A lot of really crap horror films.
Yeah, because it wasn't
remakes.
its own exactly like new installments in long established franchises that just didn't work very well.
But we got a pick for this round. You know what we're doing because you clicked on it. We're doing the game. This is a pick from Nerdriver, our wonderful patron Nerdriver. He's from Albuquerque, and he's picked the game.
And it's going to kick off 97 for us. Just like last time, we each take a turn to pick a film from the year, and then when we get to the end, we look back and go, hey, that was 1997.
Yes.
It's all very, very exciting. And if you're wondering, hey, how did Nerdriver get to pick a film that we get to discuss? Well, that's because we have a Patreon channel, and it's at www.patreon.com/filmbusters, where we get exclusive episodes for all our patrons, exclusive content. They get to pick films for us to do. They get to just generally just talk to us and have a wonderful time. And we have a great time doing it. What are we doing at the end of this episode for our patron?
We are doing our end of month roundup, which is our classic. It's probably one of our favourite topics now, isn't it? I think most. And we sit there and we just talk about all the films that we have watched in February.
That's correct. Highs and lows. And it's a very good episode, folks. So you're going to want to stick around and pay some money if you don't already to listen to it.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything we do is worth paying for, though.
Yeah, cough up your money, man. Give it to the 3 Londoners and we'll do well with it.
Paul's not a Londoner.
Well, he's partly from it, I think.
Partly.
I can't tell. It's very hard.
I've
It's on the
family
border.
from there.
It's on the border. It's hard to tell.
He's just north of the river, so that's still London for Ben.
North of the border, yes. But anyway, some of the other patrons include the likes of, the man of the moment in this episode, Nerd Revert. He's the first patron we're going to name drop.
Oh, yes. And then we have another one who is called Luke Human.
Yes, we do. You had Julio, who had a film picked quite recently as well.
Yeah. Did you hear that beast trying to escape from one of the boys' throats just then?
That was Adam.
Yeah.
Was it?
Oh, it's bubbling away.
Yeah.
Bubbling. What you got in there? What are you eating?
My soup is coming back to hold me.
Oh, a spicy one, was it?
What?
Yeah, I did put too many chili flakes in my soup.
That's chorizo in your throat, I think. We've also got Katie and Oti from the For Your Reference podcast on board.
Australians. We also have Steve from Movie Drone.
Jamie Russell, again, who picked the film very recently. He started off the last year of 1987.
He did. We also got Philip Barantini, the director of Boiling Point, aboard.
And then we have Sean Panda Nicholson.
Yes, we do. We also have Fiona Stewart.
And last of all, we have a new patron, everyone.
Yes, we do.
Welcome to the club.
Welcome to the club. We got a new Slimer, and his name is Jason Clarkson. Thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate it.
Cheers, Jason. So join them. Now listen, folks, before we get into the quiz and going into the episode, because we're starting a new year altogether, I thought I would just let you all know some big things that happened in 1997. Would you boys care to know what
I'd love it.
Things that happened? Well, 1997, it was the year, very topical, what we were just talking about in our end of month wrap up. It was the year that Diana died in the high speed crash in Paris, wasn't it?
Oh,
yes,
crazy.
She went. Can't make any jokes about that. That's a death.
7 years old.
Oh yes, but more relevant to the film world, it was the year of fucking Titanic, which took cinema by storm and changed the game.
It did.
Also connected to our end of month, it was the year that the first Harry Potter film was released as well.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, I thought it was much earlier than that, but there you go, 1997.
I thought it was like 2000s Harry Potter.
Ah,
Wow,
there you go.
97.
97.
It does it make really?
Yep.
Are you sure?
I will read to you here. It was published by Bloomsbury Publishing House on June the 26th, and it propelled unknown author J.K. Rowling into everyone's conscience.
Oh, are you saying the book?
Yes, I'm talking about the book.
I thought you meant the film.
I thought you meant
No.
the films.
Come on.
That's what I was confused.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
why I was a bit like,
I'm talking about the book, dear listeners, and come on, you knew what I was talking about, right? Moving on.
We didn't.
It was also the year for us Brits, the last time that the Labour Party got into power. The Labour Party won a landslide victory, and Tony Blair became the Prime Minister of our country. May have problems with him, but hey, he wasn't a fucking Tory like what we got in charge now. It was also the year that George Clooney was voted Sexiest Man Alive by People magazine. Oh,
Was
yes.
this before or after Batman and Robin?
Well, it was the year of, so maybe he burnt a lot of bridges after he made that film and wouldn't have got it otherwise.
the votes went down afterwards. Those bat nipples are probably the reason that it happened.
Yes. It was the last time that the UK won the Eurovision Song Contest.
Oh, wow.
Did we ever win it?
Yes.
I didn't even know we did.
Won for Walking on Sunshine in
Was
Dublin.
that the Eurovision song?
Yes.
I'm Walking on Sunshine.
By Katrina and the Waves.
Wow.
It's the last time that we won it. It was also the
That's a
year.
banger.
It's also the year that the Teletubbies made their way onto our television screens. I don't know if they went international or not, but it was the Teletubby year. It was. And we're getting to the end here. Don't worry. It was also the year that supermodel Tyra Banks became the first black woman to have a solo Sports Illustrated cover. This is a very sexist bit of trivia, but apparently that's significant for 1997.
Maybe it is a little bit significant. I think it is.
I think it's significant. It's significant.
That is progression.
It goes to show that the patriarchy can ogle women of all races, not just white, I suppose.
Yes.
It was the year that Ginger, Sporty, Scary Baby and Posh landed on our radars. The Spice Girls arrived. Yes, they did. It was also the year that Versace was shot and murdered. And finally, it was the year that Steve Jobs returned after his 12-year hiatus away from Apple to lead the company once again. And that was 97. That was 97, boys.
That was very nice. I very much enjoyed that. Thanks.
That's the world we're going to enter for the next few weeks.
Wow. See if any of those things
have relevance.
Really make an impression on the films.
So should we just get to the quiz, boys? Should we do it?
Yes.
All right. Paul,
go on,
what's the scores? What's the scores?
The scores on the doors are me with 5 points, Ben with 3 points, and 2 for Adam.
Well, Adam could take over from me.
Yes.
In this one.
He very much could.
I watched this film about a week ago.
About a week ago. Now then, be on your best marks, Adam, because you always say, I was going to say that, but you say it just a second too late. So the minute it comes into your head, propel it forward. We're going to find out. 2 questions about the game. You ready, boys?
Yes.
What does CRS stand for?
Consumer Recreation Services.
Very good. Paul's got it bang. Off the buck.
I wouldn't have got that, to be fair.
No, I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have if I hadn't noted it down as a question. Paul's got the point.
You ready? I've seen this film many times.
You ready for next question? Now, this one. This one is going to be, how much were you paying attention?
Okay.
How much were Nicholas's shoes worth?
$2,000.
Well done, Paul. It was a little bit of a tricky question.
I would never have got that.
It's $1,000 each.
Yes. Well done indeed. Adam, would you have got that?
No. I'd have probably guessed it maybe if I did get it.
He said it. He dropped a shoe and then he goes, there goes $1,000. And she says, your shoes are $1,000. And he goes, that one was.
That's quite a good line, actually.
It is quite a good line, but it's also a very rich capitalist pig line, which made me hate
of course.
It's kind of funny still.
Adam, he watched it a week ago, so he forgot he couldn't do the maths. Well, Paul's running away with things already by the looks of things, eh?
Yes.
I am indeed. 7 points.
And my 3, isn't it?
Since we already know what next week's film is, it might be hard to stump Paul on questions on one of his favourite topics.
Should we just tell people now?
No. And in the episode after that, it's continuing to be one of his favourite topics. It's all slanted in Paul's favour.
Well, it could be about anything in that second one.
It's true. Adam, I will try and make the questions not very specific to the fandom. Yeah.
Everyone knows exactly what we're talking about.
Well, we'll keep you all in blue mystery. There you go.
Thank you for those points.
You deserve them, Paul.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Shall we move on to the game?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's so fucked. They just fuck you and they fuck you and they fuck you. And then just when you think it's all over, that's when the real fucking starts.
All right, calm down. Just take a breath.
They won't stop, Nick. I paid the bill. I gave them their fucking money. They won't leave me alone.
What are they doing to you?
Everything. I'm a goddamn human pinata.
Calm down. Then why do they keep playing if you already paid?
I don't know. I paid them more to make it stop. They did this.
It's a flat tire.
How do you know?
Get a grip on yourself, will you? We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Right, everyone, today, yes, we are doing The Game from 1997. This is a David Fincher film starring Michael Douglas. This is a spoiler episode, so if you have not seen The Game, we will be spoiling it for you. So you might want to go away, go watch it, come back, because it is a very complex film if you have not seen it, so you'll probably have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, and you don't want this one spoiled.
No, this is one you do not want spoiled because it kind of ruin your experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just for context, this is our second Michael Douglas film.
It's our first Fincher film, though, isn't it?
It's our first Fincher film. This is our second Michael Douglas. Do you know what film we've done that he's in?
I annoyingly think it's going to be a fucking Marvel.
Yeah, it's Endgame. Avengers Endgame.
Sad
Does that really
times.
count?
Surprisingly, though, we've also done a Deborah Kara Unger film as well, who plays Christine.
Have we?
Yeah, she's in 13.
Who the hell was she in 13?
Someone called Brooke Lelane.
What? One of the girls? When was 13,
sure Scott
mate?
will tell us.
She was so far down the cast list, and she was underneath some extras who didn't even have names.
Oh,
so
wow.
I have no idea who she was.
I only really know her from Crash.
Yeah. It's really weird because she feels like you feel like you should know her from more.
Yes.
But she's not in that much, I don't think. We've got a second appearance from Tommy Flanagan. He was also in Face Off. Our lovely Chibs from Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And this is a good one. We got a second appearance from Jerry Becker, who's the man in the bar he says the Bible quote.
Oh, right.
Remember?
Yeah, I remember him in the game.
He's in Home Alone.
Oh, really? As?
He plays a police officer.
Oh, that seems about right. He's probably just in the station, isn't he?
Yeah, probably.
He's that one who goes, I'm patching the call through.
The one with the donuts.
So does that mean...
It's not him. It's definitely not him.
No. Does that mean this is our first Sean Penn film?
It's our first Sean Penn film.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, why don't you give us a little plot summary?
Yes. So this film here is set in, what do you call it? New York. Is it New York it's set in?
California.
San Fran, isn't it? Yes.
Okay. Set in San Francisco's high society to an extent. And Sean Penn buys his brother, Michael Douglas, a gift that your whole life will be turned upside down. And then
I'm sure that's not what the gift said.
well, the gift is that. I don't know what the gift says. The CRS. And
The gift says,
and
my
then,
name's CRS.
And then after this
What
gift
do
gets
I
given,
stand for?
and then after this gift gets given, his life starts to be turned upside down. But is it
Just like it said.
But is it the game,
Yes.
or is it just a series of unfortunate events?
Oh, Lemony
No,
Snicket.
that's Jim Carrey. That's a different film entirely.
Oh, dear. Very good.
That was great. That was a great one,
That
Adam.
was a good one, Adam. Just very brief top-level trivia. Originally written in 1991, it was set to star with Carl McLaughlin in the lead, and Bridget Fonda was going to play the Sean Penn role. But then that all got dropped, it got postponed, and Fincher came in and was actually intending to make the film before Seven, but suddenly Brad Pitt became available, which sped up the process of Seven, and that became the priority. So when he finally came around to making the game, Jodie Foster was cast opposite Michael Douglas, but it says she dropped out, but I get a feeling she was forced out because she suggested that she should play Michael Douglas's daughter, not his sister. And Douglas didn't like that very much. He was like, no, because people won't believe the age gap, where it's more likely that Douglas was like, no, because that makes me look older if you, Jodie Foster, are playing my daughter. So she was dropped, or she left, and Sean Penn came along and took the place instead. And David Fincher later admitted in interviews that he is not proud of the movie at all. And he says that his working relationship with his wife, longtime producer Sean Shaffin, was the reason for it, because they disagreed so much. And his wife told him that the film's ending was not good, and he said, no, it is. And then years later, he looked back and he said, she was right. It's not a good ending.
Are they still married?
I don't know that. I do not know.
That he does not know.
I don't know the relationship status of David Fincher and Sean Shaffin.
Check Facebook. It might be on Facebook.
It might be because, well, there's lots of connections. Yes, they are still married. Look at that.
Well,
because the ones you love can tell you the things you don't want to hear.
Oh.
Absolutely.
So that's that.
So this is a nerd alert pick. So it automatically reverts back to Adam to pick who goes in what order for our first impressions. No ratings though.
No ratings, please.
Just saying it before Adam says his rating.
Am I picking you? Says it. Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Okay. I'm gonna go last.
Ooh.
And I want Paul to go first, then Ben, and then me.
Okay.
Exciting.
Did you put an X at the beginning, or was it just sighting?
I just went S straight away. Sighting.
S?
Yeah.
Not a C?
No. Well, David Fincher's wife is called Sean Chaffin, but it's spelt with a C at the beginning, not an S. So it threw me off.
Isn't that Sean?
Well, go and ask him on Facebook.
Anyway, let me get into my first impressions.
Yeah.
I probably already started getting into film like early teens, and I had like a small crate under my bed that was like...
We don't want to hear about your sex toys. Get to the film, please.
It was no bigger than like half a metre by half a metre.
I said we don't want to hear about your sex toys.
And in this crate was all those critical films that pretty much shaped my taste in movies, and the game was among this crate of films. It came to me at a very like critical time.
Great. It's like Indiana Jones delivered it or something.
It was like a Tesco crate you get from like...
Oh, right, like a milk crate or something.
Yeah, milk crate. And
peculiar.
Yeah, it came to me at a very critical time in my life. When I was a huge fascination.
You're a fascist.
A fascination with psychological thrillers, and spurred on by Saw. Let me tell you, and it was recommended by my stepdad because he loved it, and so it has that kind of familial connection as well, which is nice. I've watched the game many times, but it's been a little while since my last watch, and I've had a bit of exposure to some unfavourable reviews for your reference, especially.
Yes, they were not fans.
In the back of my mind, I've always been, is it actually as good as I remember? So I was going in with a critical mind, trying to leave nostalgia at the door, and it still fucking holds up. Oh. I still love it. It still has a questionable end, for sure. A little contrived, you could say, but it still gives me fucking goosebumps, that ending. And I think this film is so bloody clever, and regardless of what you may think of Nicholas, to see this man be stripped of everything he believes he's fated to be, his like stony exterior brought on by the tragic death of his father, and his expectations to follow in his footsteps, the footsteps of his father, it's just stripped away. His money, his pride, his polished look, it's all pulled back to like the bare bones of a man he's just really worried. Like he doesn't want to be like his father, and his father was just alone, and so he just pushes away everyone he loves just to make him feel better. And by the end, he feels like he has nothing he can do apart from jump and relinquish himself to what his father did. But he crash lands into the love of everyone in his life. When someone is brought so low, the light of like what truly means the world shines through. And I fucking love it. Just give you goosebumps. Goosebumps. I'm getting all the letters wrong today.
You and Adam.
You did it as well.
It's also wonderfully written, and the thrilling twists still get me, and it still holds a fuck up.
It's a 9 out of 10.
I'm not saying anything. Until later. Well, I'll give you my thing. I think I watched it roughly the same time you did, but I was a touch older. But I think I watched it, again, not long after Saw came out. And I remember loving it. I was like, no one's talking about this. This is a Fincher film that isn't spoken of. Like, what? How did these films come from these great directors and then they don't get the coverage? Like, it's not like it was an early film. It was made after fucking, what's it called?
Seven.
That is true. What was his big film before this?
Seven.
Not Seven, before that. Because Seven, what put him on the map, Fincher?
Alien, wasn't it? Alien was
Alien
his first
3.
one.
3?
No, something else must have put him on the map. Hang on, just a second. I have to look at chronologically now to
David Fincher.
Oh, no, it is. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Okay, all right. Well, I stand corrected. I thought that he did some stuff before the game. Anyway, that aside, I was like, no one's talking about this, and this is great. Great little psychological thriller. A silly element, which was very, very welcome because for all its like darkness, Fincher loves these dark films, the way they're lit and the subject matter. There's this silly thread running through, like a game, potentially a game being played with this man and his life, which has sinister overtones, but also has that silliness element to it. And I remember guessing throughout, going, is it a game? Is it real? Is it a game? Is it real? Who is in on it? Is Sean Penn really panicked here? Or is he acting the part? All of those questions throughout kept me very, very engaged, and I loved it. And the ending, I have to say, I always loved the ending. I never thought, oh, this is silly. I was like, no, balls to the wall. Let's go crazy. I love that. Fantastic. Brilliant. Because there was excuses. He was like, if you didn't jump, I was going to have to push you. So it's not like totally contrived that he happened to land in the crash mat area, because if that was the area he was going to have to go for, that was always going to happen. Anyway, that's how I felt about it. And I watched it a few times more after that many years ago, and always liked it. Like you, Paul, exposure to For Your Reference and what they said, and no shade to them, I couldn't remember what their qualms with it were. I just remember that they had qualms with it. So I too was approaching this thinking, okay, is there something here that I didn't see on those first watches? And my answer to that is no, but I disliked it this time round more than previous watches, and not because of the character necessarily, but I found it very slow and ponderous. Now that I know everything that was going to happen in it, everything lost its edge. There was no rewatchability to any of it for me, because I knew the destination. I knew every twist and turn. I knew what was false and what was real. I never for a second had to redoubt myself and go, oh, hang on, was this genuine, this bit or not? I just remembered all of it, and because of that, it took so much shine off. So I almost want to give this film 2 ratings. One, which is the first watch rating of going in completely blind, bang. Like if I hadn't seen it before and this was the first time, the rating I'm going to give this film at the end is not the rating I would be giving it. I would give it higher. But because it doesn't stand up on rewatches and I have some other problems with it, it's gone down, which I'm disappointed by. I got to say, because I was always its champion. And there you go.
Okay, I kind of agree with Ben. I've always kind of liked this film, but I've never loved this film, and it's always a film that people do love, and it's one of those films that if you had it at a certain rating, you feel like, well, everyone's loving it, I should like this. Why am I not liking this film? I like it a lot, but I don't like it as much as everyone else seems to have liked this film. I think everyone else seems to get it, and you don't. Again, kind of films we discussed in our Patreon topic today. Was it today? No, it was early in this episode, wasn't it? I was getting confused when we've recorded. But yeah, but then again, I agree with you, Ben. On the rewatch, there are so many elements of it. You're just like, I know what this means now. I know the consequences of this bit, so why am I sitting and kind of watching it play out? The intrigue, the mystery, every step of it is kind of gone. And when you don't know, when that doesn't happen, that's what the film is built on, in my opinion. The film is built on the mystery that it is, and it works first time. It doesn't work in the way that something like Fight Club works, because in my opinion, the more you watch Fight Club, the more you get out of it, because you know what's coming, and there's so many layers of it, and when you notice it happening from before, then you get excited about. Whereas this, it's more about yes or no ticks boxing rather than the whole overall meaning of the film at the end. That makes sense.
Yes,
that makes sense.
It does.
Is that the end?
That is the end.
I think that's the end.
And I agree with you. There would be the rating I had it before, and I think I'm on the fence of changing my rating as well.
I will counteract that by saying I've watched it so many times, this film, and I get something out of it every time, because I like seeing how each part of his journey kind of strips something away from him, and it's focused on something that's going to take away something that he holds close to himself to protect himself from who he doesn't want to become, kind of thing.
Go on, chuck us some examples.
So, for example, going into the hotel room, his with all the drugs, all the pictures of him having sex with someone. He really prides himself on being this very slick, well presented man, and it's he's so panicky, oh my god, I can't have anyone see me. He runs towards the door, smashes the door on the maid, please don't come in here. And then just all that looks just stripped away from him when he comes to the end. When he's in Mexico, everyone thinks he's some kind of bum, and he when they're giving him the tests in CRS, and they make sure they say that his brother Conrad aced all the tests, and he was one of the best they've ever seen. And it comes to the end of his test, and he's like, "Oh, you didn't even get through."
Yeah.
Because he feels like he is better than Conrad.
Yes.
Yeah.
And by doing that, it kind of knocks him down a peg, thinking, "No, you're on the same level. Don't think yourself like that." And I feel each stage kind of takes a layer away from Nicholas, and I really enjoy seeing that.
It does. You're right. It does do that.
But you can only appreciate that after you know what the journey is.
Yeah. Yes.
That's why I enjoy seeing it. I also love just seeing all these characters throughout the whole thing, and how they're all part of the big story. And you see them all sitting in the canteen at the end, and every time I see someone new, that I was like, oh yeah, they're sitting in the cafe at in the lunch hall at the end.
Yes.
And I think it's so fascinating, and I just love all the little intricate things that. Do you know when he goes into the bathroom, he's got the pen all over him?
Yeah.
And there's a man in the stall.
Yes.
And it's like, that is part of the game, but he doesn't interact.
Yeah.
And I think that's so interesting that at each stage, it could go any way at any time. And his game's constantly evolving to however he reacts to things.
I mean,
and I think it's really interesting.
It is, but it's very easy. Yeah. The thing that I was perhaps a bit more critical of this time round, but I went with it because like I said, one of the things I like about it is the silliness of the situation. It's like it is a serious Dark Fincher film, but with this silly thread of a game where everyone around you is playing.
You've ruined your life for a bit of fun.
Yes,
basically.
But there were more things this time. Like the ending, I buy. I'm not questioning it. I go with that.
I'm not big on the ending.
Well, so for me, what is more problematic than not problematic, the thing that is sillier than the ending is when when Chips drives the car, dives out, and he flies into the water and he goes underwater, and the only way he escapes is because he has the handle in his jacket pocket. What if he didn't have the handle with him? They sent it to him in the mail. He could have left that on the side.
That is the only moment that I feel like they could have easily just said a throwaway line or something, or you see something that's like, that's how they would have got him out of that situation if he didn't.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure there are loads of explanations, like they had divers on standby that if he didn't have it, they would come and crack the thing. But at no point in this film did they ever have a moment where an external person had to do something. Like the guy said, if you didn't jump, I was going to have to push you. What would have been nice would have been a couple of moments throughout where Douglas didn't follow a step or didn't do as expected, so they had to intervene to sort of push him in the right direction. I know that guy points at his pocket to show that the pen had leaked. But, additional things might have been nice threaded throughout.
I think that the only time it ever does that is that toilet cubicle, where it's almost like this could have been something, but he just never interacted with it.
What do you think would have happened?
I don't know. Maybe he got another inventory item. It's like he's playing a game.
Yes.
Or something. But I don't know. I think it really interests me, this film, because I think it's really clever. And just all the little details and the little fun bits, like when he goes into the house and you see the smoking light and there's still a price tag on it, and there's him exploring through the house and seeing it's an empty cupboards. There's the books of fake, and it's like that was one moment when on my first watch I was like, this fucking blew my mind. It's like, what the fuck is happening? Like, this is crazy. I love it.
But see, I agree really well on that first watch, and I don't know, maybe this is either the third or the fourth time it's like the fourth, but the first watch, but definitely I was all in with it. I was like, yeah, this is great. This time I found it a little bit slow in between moments. There was a lot of time spent with him being, classic Douglas suit, slick black hair. Here I am at my place of work. Here I am at my gentleman's club. Here I am at home lounging with my flute of champagne and the nudes. And it was just a little too. And I get what they were going to look at this man. Look at this wealthy man.
He's got so much to lose, basically.
Yes. And they just...
But the only thing he doesn't have to lose is like family and stuff. I think that would be more interesting.
Well, he had his brother, I suppose.
Yeah, but I mean, like he had his ex-wife as well, didn't he? But like
Well, that's the
kids.
thing.
And
He was
all
already
that.
on the verge of losing his family. That's the whole point. He needed this to kick up the arse to.
It was like a
himself back
it was
into
like
gear.
a Scrooge thing. It made me think. I'd never thought of it before, but it's like a little like Scrooge who's like just shut everyone out, and he needs to be visited by the ghost to shake his life up a little bit. But what are we to think? Are we to think that because he's gone through this entire game and he's seen what life could actually be like, that he's a changed man at the end? Really? Do you believe that?
I think everything was hinging on the fact that it was his 48th birthday. It's the year that his dad committed suicide.
I like that.
And I think that can really control your life. Like for example, my stepdad, his dad and his dad before him died of a heart attack at 60 years old.
Wow.
Right? And it's always on his mind that is almost like his expiry date. And it's like getting closer and closer to that date. It must, like, imagine that you thinking this is my end that time. It doesn't mean it is actually his end.
No.
But that is just what you're always going to think of yourself. Like that is all you're going to boil down to.
Yeah.
And I think that is just pushing everyone away is a way of protecting himself.
Yeah.
And that's how he had to go about his life.
Well, the only thing that you can say is that when the what's her name? Is it Christine?
Christine,
He said at the end asked him to go to the airport with her. It's like he wants to leave. He left his birthday party. He left all of that. He left everyone looking at him, everyone loving him, giving him the attention. It's your birthday to go and have a real moment with somebody.
Yeah.
That you can't. The moments you can't buy. The moments that people can't make up as well.
It's like live off the seat of your pants kind of thing. Just go with life. Don't hold yourself back by your expectations.
See, this is where, people could watch it and go, "Oh, Douglas is just a pig. He's a rich white guy, so why do we care about this man?" And he is that, but he's meant to represent that for the purpose of the story, for exactly the reason you're saying, so that he can be stripped down and everything. The thing that I thought was most interesting about what the game did to him is that it forced him to actually take notice of people around him, because beforehand he's just in his bubble. He's rich, who gives a fuck? But now, because everything might have some significance to him and his game, he has to pay attention to the guy dropping in the street coughing, or the person over there who looks a little bit out of place. I have to pay attention to the world because it might be affecting you. And I liked that it's kind of, to me, that was the most interesting bit on this rewatch, was like, we're only really interested in shit when we think it has a direct impact on our life. Because that reporter, the good scene which captures that, is the time when the news reporter, before it starts speaking to him directly, it's just reporting on like hundreds of thousands of unemployed people, rising numbers of unemployment. Douglas is paying no attention. He's doing something off to the side. He's fucking around with the clown or something. And then the news reporter says, addresses him directly and says, "But what does that matter to a fat cat like you, fat cat billionaire like you?" And then Douglas suddenly turns around. Now he's interested. Why? Because you're addressing me. You're talking to me. But before that, who gives a fuck about the unemployed and this and that? It doesn't matter to me. I'm part of the fucking wealthy elite. I don't care about that shit. I can live in my bubble. And I like that by the end, he had to care and think about other people because of the game. And that still held up.
I never really looked at it in that way before.
Yeah, I guess like the actual practical version of that is when, which I like as well, is you see Christine from the beginning. It's before he's even given him the CRS invitation, Sean Penn.
Yeah.
And she's actually the waitress.
Is she in that restaurant?
So as soon as everything's part of the game. It's all like building up even before Sean Penn even gives him the invitation. And when she spills,
but why did she need to be there?
It's all happening before he even goes to the actual what do you call it? All the testing he does. It's just to get him used to the fact he's seeing her.
Right.
So it's not it doesn't throw him off guard. And she also makes mistakes while him and Conrad are speaking just so he's used to the idea of her fucking up. And then by the time she spills all the wine on him, he's like, I saw you last week. You did this to me last week.
I've forgotten. I've forgotten about that.
Yeah.
And it's almost the manager just dismisses her, and he's like, just put me on. Like he gets put on another table. But until he gets the note to say you have to follow her, that's only when he goes and follows her.
Yeah, Douglas is a pretty reprehensible piece of shit because like at that point he's like, no, it's okay. She made a mistake. It's like, no, you're just going to let her get fired from her shitty job, which she really needs. You're just going to let her get fucking fired and not going to say, listen, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, I think it's good because it really goes to show like everyone is like they are for a reason, and it's like this guy who has all these things of his mind about his father killing himself, and his expectation of that's just going to be him, and he's just a stern, stuck-up rich man. It's like, well, that's who I am, and that's how I'm going to go about my life being. And it's like, but he's that way for a reason. But it's all been moulded from his history.
If that's the case, why didn't his bro go that way too?
Well, that's the thing. It's people react in different ways. It's like he went down the druggy route.
He seemed to have gone off travelling and just like distance himself from that much, isn't it? Really?
Well, he was like the free living kind of guy. But I'll be interested to know he actually did the CRS thing. Whether that's part of the game or he actually did it.
Yeah, but I get the feeling he did do it because then he would be like, "Oh, I need to give this to someone."
Yeah.
But from my view, his way of reacting to it was he just took loads of drugs and did not live the life that his father lived and rebelled in that way.
Yes.
And then because Michael Douglas was almost like his surrogate father.
Can I just say something here which is relevant to what you're saying? Particularly as you're saying, oh, this one went this way and this one went that way. Didn't you think the opening credits with the home movie footage was Succession?
Yes, I wrote it down as a note.
And it was so uncanny because he's standing with his son on the porch and then he just walks away and leaves him alone as well.
Yeah, and absolutely. And look at that show. That is just shows how a father's influence can mould their children.
Yeah.
And how differently they're all moulded and how different personality traits they get from their father.
I get it. I agree. Yes, it's a good point you're making. I wish that there had been a little more. I know that they were focusing on the fact that his dad kept jumping off, but I wish there'd been a little more to really connect us a little more emotionally to the dad or the relationship that Douglas had with his dad, because it felt very cold. It felt like here is this thing that happened and here is Douglas now living an almost identical life, but I kind of wanted to buy into the heart of it slightly. Like I never really bought the heart of this story at any moment until the very, very end scene, but that's only because of the entire ordeal that he's been through when he hugs his brother. I didn't buy. What you're saying is what I wanted to feel from it. That stuff about him feeling the weight of his 48th birthday approaching and what that means and stuff. I wanted to feel that a little more, and I didn't.
It was definitely subtext.
Yeah.
The ending for me, the reason why I don't get it is almost kind of like a ha, I got you kind of prank.
What would you have preferred?
I don't know.
Genuine question.
Because
there's a lot of people who don't like it.
More of a like. Rather than everyone was like, haha, you fell for it, we got you good, didn't we, kind of thing. Look what I did in this. That's what it kind of seems like to me.
I don't think it was ha-ha. I don't think it went in that way.
It was a bit... It was like,
ha-ha with a T-shirt.
Which bit of the ending is it that you don't like, though? Like, is it the jump, or is it everything at the end when he goes in and they're all there?
It's just when he's in the party and everyone's kind of talking to him a bit, and it's everyone's like, they're making such light of it. He's now in a party, everyone's buying him drinks, and it's like...
Well, of course. He's just completed his game.
Life kind of goes on a bit. It's like everyone's kind of like, oh, that was it. Okay, I'm out of it now. We can just go back to what we were doing before.
But I think it's also telling when he doesn't want to have any kind of party or birthday. He doesn't like people to pay attention to him. I know he might be like stuck-up rich guy, but he doesn't want any thrills.
No.
He doesn't want to be surprised.
He's Scrooge, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it's telling to show that he's just involved in this party now. He's appreciated because he knows that all these people around him are there for him, and it's like, I should appreciate that.
Yes. The thing that's a hard pill to swallow, though, at that party scene is like his brother signs the bill, and even though it's obviously outrageously expensive, they sort of joke and go, maybe I won't split it with you. And it's like, yeah, you are still rich fucks though. You get to have this experience as rich fucks, including you, Sean Penn. You tricked us into thinking you were on a level with us, but really you are just as fucking wealthy.
He was meant to be just a normal guy that you're stepping, but he's also just as rich.
Yeah.
Oh, if it's something so extensive that needed to cost a lot of money.
How much you reckon? How much you reckon for that game? For everything that was involved, it's got to be
in the millions, because you've got to think of how much a film costs to make, and they're using squibs, like there's actors.
Yeah,
that's like a full-on production.
Several million probably.
Yeah,
and it's 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
he's got like 600 mil or something. I think he said in his.
And
bank
also,
account,
there's probably a couple of crimes in that have been committed that you need to get off on.
Oh, surely. Like there would be so many legal waivers that he'd signed, didn't read the small print, that allowed them to do certain things to him, which would mean they're protected from prosecution.
What kind of stuff though?
If he had drowned in that, or if he'd had some sort of damage when that fucking car crashed into the water. True. Like, what if he wasn't wearing his seatbelt or something? He could have snapped his neck.
That is the biggest thing. I think that's the only point of the film. I'm like, what's the reasoning behind this? Like, where's the out if he gets something badly wrong with him?
Well, when he had the loaded gun and he shot, and the guy, I can't remember, the other guy from Sons of Anarchy, who is the private investigator.
Yeah, Bobby.
And he thinks it's not a gun, and then he shoots the floor and to prove that it is a real gun. What if Douglas had shot that guy for real at that moment?
Yeah. But then you're dealing with a normal business guy. He's not a fucking assassin.
I know, but they were rattling
yeah, but also
him.
People crack and people panic under pressure.
Yes,
they would have gone and been like, well, you actually acted in that way, so it just shows that if you're ever in that situation, you'd have done this, and therefore you should be in jail. It'd be like Minority Report kind of thing.
The way there was a point where he was really about to snap, and he was sitting in his car, and I was like, this is Douglas in Falling Down, which means anything could happen.
Yeah. Is that when the guy tries to rob him?
Yeah. He says, I'm feeling particularly fragile or something at the moment.
Yeah. Speaking about a gun, I really like that moment as well when they're on top of the roof at the end, and she's like, "Where did you get that gun?"
Yeah, great tension.
And she suddenly starts freaking out. Like, this is a game. It's like their gun's not, and it's like they even fucking play you there.
I know, brilliant.
Because it's like it's not real.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And this is the thing, man. Like all of those beats are like really good. Like I don't look back. I don't look at the film and go, "You should have changed that. You should have changed that." I think everything they did was tight. It just worked so much better that first time. But and I don't know, it's not like a case of other films where you notice it, like Saw, you know what's going to happen, but that first viewing was incredible. But I can watch Saw and still enjoy it every time. I could watch 7 knowing who's going to turn up and what happens, but it's about the journey along the way. And there's just, and same like Adam was saying with Fight Club, for this particular Fincher film, there is not enough substance in there for me to enjoy the repeat watch.
How many times have you watched this film now, Ben?
This is like third or fourth.
Yeah, I think this is my third time I've watched it.
I've probably watched it over 10 times. And I love it every time. What I'd say about this film is, just like Saw, I love watching this with someone for the first time because I love enjoying a reaction.
Well, there you go. But like, because you're jonesing off of that high from the first time.
You're almost doing that. But then at the same time, I still enjoy it on my own. Like I really enjoy watching it again this time, and I've seen it.
Well, see, the thing is, you brought up some topics which are interesting about the father and like his way of life and the choices that he made, and that's true. But like this time when I watched it, I wasn't getting anything from it. It felt hollow on this watch, and I feel bad about that because I didn't want it to feel that way because I could still see why it's a quality film. It's just that this time I'm like, oh man, I wish there was something for me to get from it this time. And it was like, there just isn't, because I know, like, do you know the bit that was actually the most insufferable? It was the moment where he leaves the restaurant with following the waitress after she spilled the wine on him, up until that whole scene ends after everything. Because I'm like, oh God, I remember all of this. And I remember where it leads to them going into the dumpster. And it takes such a long time to get there. And I already know that she is part of the game. So I'm getting nothing.
I get that, yeah. I really enjoy that scene where they go into the underground car park and all the lights just turn off and everyone just scatters.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all good.
I think that's wonderful. I understand what you mean. It's just whether you can still latch on to that first bit of enjoyment you got from it. And it works for me every time.
That's why rewatch is a scary thing sometimes, particularly when you think you really like a film and then you rewatch it and you're like, well, yeah. Because there's got to be something to be said. You must admit that there are certain films where you're saying for this one you can do it, so that's fine. But like certain films, bang, that first watch, great, fantastic. Mm-hmm. But then there's a difference between the surface, what's great on the surface, and what's great in the deep once you get out there and get swimming amongst it. And there was less to swim amongst for this one.
I get that.
One thing that I have to say, because I love this man. Douglas is amazing. He always does this in films. He is totally cool, calm and collected, often businessman, suave, and then all of a sudden something bad happens and he goes haywire and he's wide-eyed and he's shouting and everything. This is always Douglas in pretty much every fucking film. He's like calm, cool, this is my world, I understand what's going on here. And then whether he's having an affair or he's chasing Sato around Japan or there's a game going on, everything, like my friend Matt always says this, in any Michael Douglas film at some point he is having a bad day because everything just implodes on top of him. He's like, Douglas is not having a good time, man.
Falling down is the embodiment of that.
Matt has got a small picture of Michael Douglas inside his mirror, so when he opens his mirror up, Douglas is just there in the corner. And he says, I just have it there so I can always remember. So he's having a worse day than I am.
That's brilliant.
But I do love Douglas, man. He was just he was probably a 90s guy. I know he did some 80s stuff, but he was probably a 90s guy, I would say, because Wall Street and all that was in the 90s, right?
Yeah. And Black Rain was on the cusp. It's 89.
Yeah, it was on the cusp. Yeah. And that was fairly young. Douglas has a bit of... I love the Douglas hair. Like his hair, whether it's permed or slicked back. He just... Like, you believe him. You believe he's Nicholas Van Horn in this. It doesn't feel like he's playing a role. It's like, that you are that man, definitely.
Yeah, I don't think he ever plays a bad role.
I can't think of a bad Douglas film. I mean, the Marvels.
Yeah, sometimes I don't warm to him a bit.
Yeah, because he plays that sort of coldish character, right?
Yeah,
like in this, I don't warm to him. I like his performance, but
I don't want him to win in this film. I think that's also one of the problems with the film.
Do you think it would have been nicer if he did accidentally kill his brother and like that final twist didn't happen and then he just jumped and killed himself?
That would be a different film.
It would, wouldn't it? It would.
There was probably an alternate ending. That was one of them.
I wonder.
I think this does have an alternate ending actually, but I can't remember what it was.
How I felt about this film, rewatching it, right, is exactly. I said it to myself halfway through. The feeling I had when I rewatched Panic Room recently, because I also brought the rating down.
Another Fincher.
Yeah, exactly. And I ain't got a problem with Fincher because I think he's a great filmmaker. But again, same thing with Panic Room. It was like, oh shit, there is no meat to this though, because outside of what's happening, there's nothing else for me to get stuck into, and it's not thrilling enough for me to be like, oh, it doesn't matter though. Like Face Off. There's no depth to fucking Face Off. But that's just, oh, well, I'm being entertained.
And it doesn't need
it. Exactly. Whereas for Fincher, his style, it needs to have both, right? It needs that Fight Club thing of, wow, you could just watch this on mute and fucking love what you're seeing. But also, there's so much shit going on here.
Yeah. Is it more like someone's had like a brilliant idea, but hasn't fleshed it out? So it's like...
Yes.
It's like saying to... How they created the Saw film was the idea was someone's killing someone and the killer's been laying on the floor the whole time. That was the brilliant idea.
That's great.
And then they fleshed it around that.
Yeah.
But they obviously didn't flesh it well enough.
Didn't flesh it well enough, and it became like a B thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, to use...
Have you seen Mank yet, Ben?
No, I have not.
I cannot be bothered to watch that.
No.
I started and I stopped.
So, in terms of Fincher, he's an interesting figure because he's done some of the best films I've ever seen in Seven and Fight Club, and some of the shittiest.
You don't also realise how much he's done as well.
Well, he hasn't actually done all that much, really, has he? In terms of film.
Yeah, but how many? He doesn't really. Well, at the beginning, he didn't really like. All of his films were big.
Yeah, They were, and I'm a big fan of Alien 3. I rate that, particularly his director cut is good. He does a lot of Nine Inch Nails as well, but I think he is a one for me that his 90s stuff was the best. Once we hit the 21st century, that's where we got. All right, I haven't seen it.
Gone Girls were good.
Yeah, but no, Gone Girl, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of Gone Girl. I don't like Gone Girl. I don't like Social Network. Don't really like Zodiac, and I haven't seen
Dragon Tattoo.
Yeah, Benjamin Button I haven't seen.
Benjamin Button is terrible. What about The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo?
Well, no, I haven't even watched that because it's a remake. See, it's like, what's happened to you, Fincher? That sort of stuff ain't for me. Your stuff before.
I remember you told me to buy Gone Girl, and I've still got a copy of it.
Yeah, well, maybe I did. Yeah, I mean, I think I bought it while we were at BBC, so we probably bought it from the Tesco at the same time.
Yeah, and it's got a little book inside of it.
Yeah, that's very good.
I remember that as well.
Yeah, a little book.
I remember trying to get that book.
The shit that he's doing. Or did, he's stopped now, the fucking idiot, was Mindhunter. That was his masterpiece of the 21st century.
Mindhunter is absolutely incredible, man.
So good. Like, and he was doing great shit again. It's like, he got caught up in this, let me tell grand stories. Like, so let me do the social network. Let me talk about how Facebook began. It's like, well, I'm not interested in that. Do serial killers or something. And then
it's more like cultural happenings.
Yes.
He likes to do.
Let me do Orson Welles. Like, no, man. Like, come back down to earth, mate. Do your like unique original stories again.
He's done that new series, hasn't he, for Netflix now, which is people telling them their stories about what films shaped their lives.
Which is brilliant. But he just produced it. But the Voir is fucking brilliant, like amazing.
I've
film
watched
essays.
one of them. I watched the Jaws one.
Oh, the Jaws one is so good, eh?
Yeah, he's good.
I don't even know what this is.
It's the thing on Netflix, like they're like 20, 25 minutes each, and he's just the producer, and it's people talking about their first experience of a certain film or a topic to do with film. But it's shot very beautifully, and the words that they're saying are like really fucking interesting about. Like the Jaws one is so good because it's from a woman's perspective who was a young girl at the time when it came out, and Jaws was considered like, oh, this is for the boys. But she and her sister, I think it was, just like loved it and went out almost every day to watch it, and what it meant for her and the community at the time. It was like
that summer when she fell in love with cinema.
Yeah,
and every day they watched Jaws. Basically,
it's beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh, that sounds quite sweet.
It's almost like a poem. Almost.
I had tears in my eyes with that Jaws episode because I was like, "This is fucking profound." Anyway, but that's Fincher. I mean, it would have felt more natural in a progression for him if he had done it before 7. Because I think if you think about the fact that, okay, he was going to make this before 7, but then had to suddenly do 7. 7 is so incredible. You would have thought he would have learned a lot on that set of 7 that he could have brought to the game to maybe, put a little more flesh on the bones.
Maybe it's that kind of thing of like, the big second album that bands get wrong is kind of, this is his second film in my opinion.
Yeah,
like Aliens probably said you're doing it to get your name on the board, to keep a studio happy, to let them fund you doing what you really want to do.
But it was also like, that was a bit wild because it's like Fincher hadn't directed anything before, and they handed him the third installment in what was at that point a fucking very successful franchise that had just come off the back of Cameron's Aliens, and we're like, wow, you're going to hand it over to this no-name now?
There was still a big gap in it, though, wasn't there?
Yeah, big gap, but like there had been no Alien film to follow that, and Fincher hadn't directed anything before that, so that was a gamble.
Yeah.
How did he get
music videos before, though, didn't he?
Fuck knows how he got that. Yeah, lots of music videos.
One strange thing, actually, speaking about directors, did anyone notice that Spike Jonze was in this film?
I don't really know who Spike Jonze is. Did he do Malkovich?
Yes. I believe he did.
I wouldn't even know him if I saw him.
For some reason, I've always, when I was starting getting into film, I've always confused what they look like, him and Wes Anderson.
Yeah,
they look very similar, just white guys. And he was one of the paramedics as he fell down onto the crash mat. It was just so random. I was like, that's Spike Jonze. For some reason.
I wouldn't even know the guy if I'd seen him. Can I ask you a question about a scene in this? I never understood this, actually. The scene where he goes into the hotel and there's Polaroids and drugs and scenes of sex. are we meant to think that he thinks he was involved in that?
No, it's just another way that, look, we're setting you up.
Right. So he's just he
paranoid.
knows that he wasn't involved in it, and that okay, because that always made me think like, well, surely you know that you didn't do any of that stuff.
Yeah, because you know that from when Michael Douglas goes to see, or Nicholas goes to see Christine, and he shows the Polaroid and says, "This is your bra, right?" Because otherwise he would know if, or he's trying to question.
Yeah.
He's like, he just thinks he's being set up by the book company, the Bear Books, or the guy who basically was fucking over trying to
that guy,
get him
man,
out of the company.
That guy is far too forgiving. Like, regardless of the game, Michael Douglas came in there, treated you like a fucking bitch, was about to like put you to pasture, did put you to pasture, and then at his party at the end, just because he's gone through a game, you're like, oh, I need to thank you, Nicholas. My wife thanks you. Like, what?
It was the greatest moment of my life, wasn't it? Was that?
Yeah, it's like,
mate, some people just don't know when to retire.
Mate, that guy wanted to publish a few more books. I like that guy.
He retired and he was like, fuck, man, look, I could just sail on my boat now. I've got loads of money.
That guy, I always think of him in Eastern Promises. He's Vincent Cassel's dad, the Russian mafia head in Eastern Promises.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, I like his thick accent.
Yeah, it's the only film I know him from.
I'd like to give him a cuddle. He looks like he'd give good cuddles, you think? If you're upset, you would cuddle him at a theme park, wouldn't you?
I think so.
Yeah.
He doesn't like to get too angry.
No.
Do you remember my daughter?
Yes, yeah. Come join us for lunch.
Even though there's loads of erotic pictures thrown everywhere.
Saskia, avert your eyes. Yeah, and Penn in this, like, Sean Penn is doing Sean Penn. He gets to do his frantic thing in the car, very erratic in the car. But yeah, Sean Penn is just solid. Although the thing that is awkward is that moment at the end when the doors finally burst open and he comes marching out. Why is he holding the champagne like right up by his chest? Like, who walks like that?
Because it had to explode.
Yeah, I know.
As if it was going to be shot.
Okay, so hang on. So Douglas pulled a gun that had a blank in it.
Yeah,
and the bottle
squibs.
was rigged to explode, and then the squib goes off. So Douglas wasn't actually aiming at the bottle.
No.
Okay.
He shot as the door was opening, so he wouldn't have seen anyway.
But still, why was he holding the bottle up so high? He could have had the bottle lower, and it could have just got him in the gut. Who holds a champagne bottle like under his fucking face? He was holding it
because the explosion had to happen.
It could have happened low.
Well, it doesn't matter. It was an effect.
I know, it was an effect.
He was just like, look at the effect, Michael.
Yes.
They just wanted to show off how much money they had.
I know, so much squib money, eh?
I would have thought it would have been a bulletproof vest and you just soak up the bullet.
The moment where Douglas does actually peer behind the curtain and clocks what's going on, but he doesn't actually add two and two together, is when he's with his ex-wife in the restaurant and then he sees the guy who he did the interview with at CSR on the telly. CRS, yes. On the telly.
That's a wonderful moment.
And he says he's an actor. Because at first he's like, how did you get me? Then he's like, oh, you're an actor. And that is what that guy was. He was an actor. He was just hired for CRS for the game.
So fucking good. I love that. That's just another moment where it's just like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
Like, obviously it doesn't happen now, but I still just love the idea of that Michael Douglas walking up to TV like, why is he on the TV? I do not understand what is going on.
Yeah. And when he's like, this bottle of water is open. She's like, yeah, who opened it? I opened it. I didn't ask you to open it. That was good. And I love the way, I don't know why I like this. I love the fact that he's been dumped in Mexico. He's about to get on a bus back to Mexico. But like right at the last minute, he's decided he's going to get a taco from that stall as well. So it ends with him buying that taco and rushing onto the bus before it leaves. It's like, mate, your priority shouldn't be on tacos now.
I think that's fucking great as well. That he just ends up in a coffin in Mexico.
Yeah.
It's just such a great look and it's such like wonderful.
It is. Now, you know,
atmosphere.
If this shit actually happened to you in real life, you'd be traumatized after, regardless of them going, it was a game. You would need Darren Brown to step out to calm you down.
Everything that happens in your life, again, you wouldn't trust anyone.
That is what it reminds me of, Darren Brown. Do you know he does those stunts where everything is like very meticulously laid out, like it sets a person on a day, and it's like, this is just what they did. It's exactly the same.
It would have been interesting if they had an element of a Derren Brown type character involved with it, so he could ensure that certain key words and stuff would make sure that Douglas acted a certain way at a given time.
Did you ever watch I think it was called The Fall that he did, Derren Brown?
Yeah.
Yes. They have to push someone off the building.
Yeah. They set him out on a whole day that leads them up to them pushing someone off a building, because I think the person was going to get him in shit or something.
Yes, but it wasn't even them personally, it was someone else, and they sort of like, oh no, he's going to do this unless you do this.
I think only one person didn't do it.
That was it. They showed you the whole thing, and then they were like, this is actually the only person who did it. We did this with loads of people, and they all bottled it. Yeah. So that one fucking person's going to jail, because it's like, right, you're a killer then. Imagine that. You were the only person who actually wanted to kill someone, and we're going to put this out on national television.
I remember, was it him who did the one where you have to sit in your chair as well? You couldn't get up.
Yeah, get glued to the chair.
Yeah.
Didn't Derren Brown lift Tommy up on a crucifix or something?
Yes. Tommy was... everyone knows Tommy is my brother, who went to a Derren Brown show. It was a show about faith healing, and my brother got picked to be on the stage. This is how legit it is. My brother is not part of the cast of Derren Brown's show.
No.
And he levitated my brother in the air, and my brother had no idea how the fuck it happened.
Well, how high did he go? Because you were
very
in the
high,
audience.
and he had his hand. He was basically laid out like Jesus on the cross.
And was he meant to be in some hypnotic state?
Yes.
So maybe what logic says what he did was he put him in a hypnotic state, and then there was a rig behind him that was lifting him up.
Potentially. But either way, it was wonderful, because I knew it was my brother.
I know, that's wild stuff.
I'm pretty sure that didn't your mate go up on stage, Adam?
No, my housemate's brother was at that same one that you went to, because he was in Wickham, wasn't it?
And he got put up on stage.
No, he just was in the crowd.
Oh.
He saw Tommy go up in the air.
I could have sworn that it was I'm
pretty sure it's that. I don't remember anything more than that though, but
it was basically someone got brought up on stage, and he manipulated them so they could not read anymore, and they could not understand how to read out of a book.
Mm-hmm.
And they just could not understand what the hell was going on. It's fascinating. He's a fascinating guy. I love him.
Yeah, he is. He's a very smart guy.
This is basically a simplified version of Derren Brown.
Yeah. See, Derren Brown could, if Derren Brown wanted to and was involved in some shit, he could do a game type situation and really fuck with people. He could change the world.
Imagine fucking you so much that you literally like put in a dead clown as if your dad had jumped off a building.
I know, that's some dark stuff. See, that's the thing, right? Like, they didn't. I know we as an audience can like make our assumptions, but they didn't at any point sort of say like the reason we were so dark and saying so much shit about your dad and that is because like what is it? The only person who could have allowed any of that to happen was Sean Penn, right? Mm-hmm. So what was Sean Penn's end game with all of that? That he thought it would snap his brother out?
Yeah, my idea of that was showing all the symbolism of his dad on the floor was to bring it to the forefront of his mind and make him confront it. And then by the time it comes round to him actually wanting to jump, it kind of pushes him to confront it, literally, make him jump like he'd always thought he wanted to. But then what actually happens is he's faced with just a whole lot of love rather than thinking it's going to be tragedy.
Yeah, I suppose. I think the thing is, yeah, that makes sense. Except there are not enough people that would have loved him beforehand. His brother, yes. His ex-wife, yes, maybe. But everyone else, why would they care? He doesn't have enough people around him who genuinely care. There were a lot of people there, though,
as well.
I know, but so many of them were the actors.
True, that's true.
Like they show the one guy boogieing away on the dance floor, the one who was caught on the telly. It's like, what are you having such a good time about? You don't know this man. This is just a job for you.
But at the same time, who else do you need? He's got his brother. He's got his ex-wife. It's like, who else do you need?
If the only person I've got in my dying day, in my end of days, is my ex-wife and my sibling, then I've fucked up.
Crackhead brother.
Yeah.
Should we give our scores?
Yeah, I don't have too much to say about it. Yeah. Adam wants to wrap up. You can always tell because Adam goes quiet and then says something like that. You can always tell
when Adam says, "Shall we do the scores?"
Yes, Adam, I think we should throw to you for a final comment before scores are revealed.
This film seems to be all set in darkness.
Very good.
You were born in the dark.
So I remember that film as well.
Born in
You remember it, I immediately think of this film being constantly set at night. If you know when you look back on a film and you're like, you try and remember it, I just remember all the bits at night. Not in the day.
But there is no film by this man that isn't dark. Think of Fight Club. Think of Seven. Think of those aesthetics. Panic Room.
Do you know it rains in every scene of Seven apart from
it does.
the end?
It does rain. No, that's very true. I didn't think about the fact that it doesn't rain at the end. Yes, and it's very barren and bright at the end. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Like the moment of revelation. Now that you've got him.
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking love that film, man.
The rain must be symbolistic.
That film is that's the one.
I'll give you my final thought.
Yes.
Apparently, in every scene of the game, there was a can of haggis.
Now, so this is one of those bits of trivia, right, where you read it and you think, now is that true?
I couldn't find anything online. I was trying to find a YouTube video of someone showing me all the haggises.
Yes.
I could not see.
And it's like, the amount of effort, right? It sounds like a nothing. Oh, we'll just play some haggis. But like the thing is, when you're making a movie, there's so much to worry about. The last thing you want to be like, and just for this joke that probably no one will ever know about, we got to make sure we put this haggis. Right, okay. So he's in bed at the moment. How are we going to get haggis in here? Right. Well, maybe if you don't want to be having them conversations.
I don't know how true it is. I don't know how true it is.
Is it like the Starbucks one? Is it come off the Starbucks thing in Fight Club kind of one?
What's the Starbucks thing in Fight Club?
Yeah.
In every scene of Fight Club, there's a Starbucks cup.
What's with Fincher? Stop doing this with your films, man.
That's obviously what it is. He obviously likes doing that.
If you spent a little more time on giving it some depth and a little less time putting haggis in every shot. Anyway, I feel bad slagging this film off. I'm not really slagging it off. It's just, yes. I'm not slagging.
What'd you give it then, Paul?
Yes, let's have it.
I give it a 10 out of 10 because I fucking love this film.
Wow. Was it a 10 beforehand?
It's always been a 10.
Was it?
Yeah. And
wow.
I thought maybe
you cracked out 2 10s this year.
I know.
Paul's a high roller this year. We've had
so much fucking bangers at the beginning of this year. It's like all my favourite top 10 films.
I hope you'd give our next film a 10 out of 10.
Well, we'll have to see.
The thing is, you say we've done so many bangers this year, but this year already... Well, no, that's not true. Only one film has got into our bottom 10.
Yes, only one.
But another one may be soon behind it, is all I'm saying.
Paul can't even pick a film for himself, but he could everyone else could pick a film for him.
I do it on purpose, because I like us to tackle those shitty films.
Well, everyone's going to find out what we're picking on next, so...
Oh, yes.
Yes.
That'd be your...
all right, so that's a 10. So mine was always an 8 beforehand, and I feel bad to be doing this, but it has gone down to a 7 because if I could give it 2 scores, I would. 8 for the first time watch, 7 for the second. And since we don't do half scores, I've got to go with how it is for me now, and it's a 7. Unfortunately. Sorry.
Oh. See, I was going to say exactly the same as you, Ben. I always had it at 7.
If you were going to drop it...
watching it now... No, sorry, an 8, sorry, and I was going to drop it to a 7. But I feel like there's still elements of it I enjoy enough. Maybe I didn't get this across in the podcast, but I still do enjoy parts of it. Oh, I don't know, man.
What's he going to do?
If it's going to be 8, it'll be like my bottom 8 of the year, I think, at the end of it. I'm going 7, no, it's going to sit in those 7s. Longer term longevity.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I feel like I want to keep it at an 8.
Then keep it
at an 8.
It's your heart against your brain kind of situation.
If you felt 8, you've watched it over a week ago and you've been going 8, and you're here now, go with the 8. It will balance out the fact that the first watch of it is an 8.
You gave Scream 22 an 8.
Oh, Scream 22 is more enjoyable than this, I think.
Don't be a loser.
Steady on there.
What are you going to do?
Scream 22. One day there's actually going to be a Scream 22.
Scream 22. You know what I meant.
Okay, staying at an 8, Ben. You actually have convinced me. The whole thing has been like that for a week.
Right.
I made my mind up by now.
That was a big game for Adam there.
That was a big game.
We convinced him. We pushed him over the edge.
We did. And he almost toppled but there was a safety net waiting below. Actually, one last thing. There is a moment in the film not long before the jump where she says something to him about blah 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 blah. It was a safety net when talking about some life experience. She was just like, but luckily I had a safety net or something like that. And at the time I heard it, I was like, that will pay off later. Anyway, before we place it, shall we hear from some people who've watched it?
Yes, let's do that. Okay, yes, we had some people send in their reviews of the film on Twitter. But first of all, we got a nice review from Nerdrovert, the one who picked this film. And he says, a fast-paced, fun, edge-of-your-seat thriller. 9 out of 10.
Yeah, so see, I would have thought that the first time round, but I don't think it is fast-paced.
Interesting.
It's not slow, it's medium pace, that's it. It's enough for me to go...
A nice jog.
Come on. Yeah. I don't want a marathon, I don't want to sprint. But
no, it'd be too fast.
Yes.
Jogging's just the right pace. Otherwise, you overexert yourself.
Well, this is more like a marathon runner in the final hour and the legs are starting to go.
Oh, no. Look at the analogy.
Yes.
Next up we have here from Jamie Russell, and he said, I definitely prefer early Fincher, and this is an underappreciated in my opinion. It's a dark Christmas Carol where Douglas plays a Scrooge character that needs a total recall type of experience in order for him to become a better person.
That's very well put.
Very good.
He's getting all the other films
I didn't even realise that Jamie had said anything about Christmas Carol or Scrooge, but he is absolutely a Scrooge character. It is like a modern day...
Who, Jamie or Michael Douglas?
Yeah, both. Jamie Scrooge McDuck, because of the Scottish connection. My nephew Scrooge McDuck.
You called him William Wallace last time, and now he's Scrooge McDuck.
Well, speaking of ducks, we've got another duck coming up here. It's Grump Duck, and he says, first saw this in the States in 97 on holiday. Reference to the year. Absolutely wasn't expecting that ending, and the whole film had me on the edge of my seat. I'd seen 7, but after this, Fincher became my favourite director, further compounded by Panic Room and Zodiac. 5 stars.
There we go. 5-star banger.
I can't remember the first time I watched it what I was thinking at the end. If I was thinking this is a game or this is... It doesn't matter, because the thing is there's doubt in your mind at that point. Whichever you think, you don't know.
Yeah. I was thoroughly thrilled the first time I watched it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was. No, I mean, I was thrilled. I loved it, yeah.
And lastly, we have Steve Price, and he said, a hidden gem from Fincher. Love it. Short and sweet.
I mean, it is that. For all the negative things I've said about it, it is that. It is a hidden gem from Fincher. And if someone said to me, I really like Fincher, I'd go, oh yeah, well, have you seen The Game? And they'd probably go, no. And I'd go, you should check that out.
Absolutely.
I thought most people have heard of it.
Out of all of his films, it's probably his least heard of, surely, to a mainstream.
It's like Black Rain for Ridley.
Exactly. Bo Diddley.
Another patron mention there.
Yeah.
Right. So you heard us give our scores. I've averaged the scores up, and it's an 8.3, which is a very common score for us. So we've got some placing to do, boys. So we'll step away from the mic, and we will place this fucker. All right, dear listeners. So that didn't take us very long at all. As I said, 8.3. So working from the bottom of our 8.3s, we've got Predator, which we covered very recently in 87. And it's better than that. So already a 97 film has trumped an 87 film. But next on the list was Sound of Metal. And Adam and I say Sound of Metal is better. We both give it an 8. Paul, I'm sorry, but The Game sits underneath Sound of Metal.
It's absolutely fine. It's high.
It's high. That's upper echelon, man. It's not bad. It's about 10 or 11 spots out of the top 20. So there you go. So, Nerd Revert, I hope that you're happy with that. We didn't drag it. There was no dragging of it. And you've got some big love from Paul with a 10 there. So, hopefully you're satisfied with the things we said. And if you're not, tell us.
Your Paul's favourite podcast film of the year so far.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, it is actually, yeah.
Yeah, if it's beating Predator,
yes,
for some weird reason.
Very true.
Oh, yeah, that is true, yeah. Paul's gone in with 2 10s.
Predators came late in my life. I never thought it was as good as it was. Well, The Game's always been.
So when are you making the Steelbook?
I've already got it, mate.
Oh, right. You bought it, did you?
Yeah. It's available in a Steelbook.
What's on the cover?
It is a mannequin that's got all like puppet strings on
Oh
it.
yeah, I've seen it. Do you know what I saw the other day, which I thought was a really nice cover, was the Criterion cover for it, because it's Douglas. It's a spoiler. It's Douglas mid-fall with the building behind him.
Oh,
But it's a long shot, so you obviously don't know it's Douglas, but it looks quite nice.
lovely.
Well, there we go, boys. That was that.
And that was that.
First film in 97 done.
In the bag.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to what our patrons have to say?
Yeah, and then listen, for those of you who are new to the show, stick around, because at the very end, Adam will reveal the next film from 97, and you're going to want to hear this.
Oh, yes, you definitely will want to hear this. Right, so our patrons, they send in what they've been watching this week, what they've liked and what they haven't liked. First of all, we have Sean Powell Nicholson, and he says, I've not really got a terrible or great one this week. I've watched every middling film at the moment. The new Texas Chainsaw Massacre is an abomination to the franchise, but I still had fun with it. I definitely have liked it more if I had no association with such a beloved franchise and was just a guy goes mad with a chainsaw film. But it's an okay way to spend 80 odd minutes of your time and has a proper ballsy ending. That's what I said. I said ballsy ending in my review of it. We speak about this film in our monthly roundup.
Yes, we do.
We do.
So you might want to go over and see it. We don't want to spoil it here, do we?
No, but it's waiting for you patrons right now to go and check out what we thought about it.
And all you people who are not patrons.
Yes.
Next, he says, a film I thought I'd love but ended up being very meh was House of Gucci. There's nothing particularly wrong with it. There was a Jared Leto Super Mario impression, mind you, I've heard about that.
Yeah.
But there's just nothing great about it. Lady Gaga was definitely the highlight for me in this, and the story is fine, but I was just left thinking, is this it?
Well, I look forward to watching it because people have been dragging it.
I'm not really that excited by it. There's nothing. I will watch it when it comes out because just to see what it's about. But like,
It's because
oh my
Ridley
God, I have to
Scott's
watch it.
behind it and Al Pacino is in it.
Yeah, there's more the Al Pacino angle that.
I've just heard of a lot of bad things.
Yeah, people have been really dragging Jared Leto.
Very long, isn't it?
Yeah, they definitely have.
It's fashionable to hate on Jared Leto at the moment for some reason.
Oh, speak about Mario.
What?
Did you read this fact, Ben? I'm sure you read the trivia of this film.
I did, but go on. I don't remember
the guy
anything
who
about
plays
Mario.
Michael Douglas's dad, who's in the Succession scene.
Oh, yes.
He's the voice of Mario.
That is mad. He so does not look like the kind of guy who would have been going, it's a me, a Mario. It so does not. He should have been in the Mario Brothers movie with John Leguizamo then doing the accent all the way through instead of Bob Hoskins.
Random trivia there.
Yeah. Well, I do want to check it out. I like Ridley Scott, and people are very mean, sometimes unfoundedly. You know what this reminds me of, Paul? You remember the hype? Not the hype. The slander for Vice when it came out. People were like, "Oh, so poor."
Yeah.
It kind of feels like that's how people are reacting to this. So I will probably very much enjoy.
It is like the other side of the coin of people just loving a film before they've even watched it.
Yeah. Quite. But not our dear Sean, because we respect his opinion, and if he doesn't like it, now I am more concerned than I have been to date, because Sean didn't really care for it.
Indeed.
Well, thanks, Sean. Shall I move on to Luke?
Yes, please.
Luke Human says, I really enjoyed Soderbergh's 2022 Kimmy. Don't know what this is. What could be an obvious thriller is elevated by avant-garde sensibilities and a superbly accomplished physical performance by Kravitz. Is that Zoe?
Yeah, Zoe Kravitz.
Right. This has echoes of 1995's The Net, but is a more Black Mirror-esque journey, acknowledging the pandemic and delivering a ratcheting threat that leads to a pleasing, if sensational, conclusion.
I know it's on Netflix.
Oh, is it? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And yeah, it's Zoe Kravitz in the lead role, and it's set during the pandemic. That's all I know.
Then that's... I'm adding that to the watch list.
And it's 80-something minutes.
Excellent. Brilliant. It's
Is this the film I'm thinking about?
You sound like you're half asleep, mate. What's going on there?
Is that the film I'm thinking about? What, because we spoke about it just then?
No, I just...
He has no
it's not,
answers.
no.
Do you know
Different-
what?
it's different film.
Soderbergh, he did... there was a film that he did, which it wasn't particularly memorable or big, but actually it was okay. I've just looked at the score I gave it, and it's very unfair. It's called Unsane, and it's shot on mobile phone, and it's about a woman in a mental asylum, and it's hard to say whether or not she is insane or not based on what's happening. And it's kind of like this. Luke's description there kind of put me in mind of it. So I reckon Soderbergh's done pretty well with this one. So I will look forward to checking that one out.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next film to watch.
Very good, very good, very good, very nice. And the next one.
What is that? Very nice. Well, it's that guy. It's that guy who sells the glasses.
Yeah, it is. Very good, very nice. Very good, very nice. And Luke also says, I did not enjoy 2000's Under Suspicion, which wasted Hackman and Freeman's heavyweight acting credentials with bizarre direction and an absolutely incredulous ending that beggared belief. That's such a British term, it beggared belief. to such an extent that I was forced to read a dozen plot synopses and reviews to see if I'd missed something. Turns out I hadn't, and the entire production had taken me for a 110-minute ride. Under Suspicion is one of them movie posters you always see, but stay away from.
I've never even heard of it.
Hackman looking stern, and Freeman to the left, and someone else to the right of him, and they all just look very stern.
Very stern.
Yes. Well, we'll stay away from that one, Luke.
Thanks, Luke.
Next up, we have Katie and Oti. They watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They said, don't want to talk about it, but we did finish it, which is something. Of a little person shrugging.
I feel like they're going to do a special Patreon episode about that themselves.
Good. And, you know, we'll hear what you've got to say about it, and you'll hear what we got to say about it on the Patreon. And once all of those words have been said, let us all never speak about it again.
Yes, we can compare notes.
Until I watch it and bring it back up again.
That's right.
Oh, yes.
Adam will bang out. He'll watch it high, and Adam will bang it out an 8 or a 9, man. Adam will be loving it.
I hope so.
I wouldn't like it.
Well, as long as it appeals to someone, bless your heart.
Next, we have Jamie Russell.
Oh, yes.
And he said, from the director of the fantastic Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Petite Maman is another gem of a film. Despite its paltry 73-minute duration, this film deftly explores the bond between mother and daughter following the death of the grandmother in the opening scene. I love the almost complete lack of exposition as you share a unique narrative perspective that will surely reward repeat viewings. Oh, and you'll be recording on my birthday as well. We're recording on Jamie's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Jamie.
Happy birthday, Jamie.
Happy birthday, Jamie.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
birthday to ya.
Why we were slowing down?
That's what happens when there's a time delay and then everyone tries to catch up with the other person.
And then everyone slows down to not be over the front.
I'm messaging Jamie right now to say we are recording and just found out it's your birthday.
I'm going to do that as well.
We're messaging you live and direct on the podcast, and we're talking to you. We're messaging you and talking to you and repeating your stuff. Jamie, happy birthday. Hope you're having a good one. And I look forward to Petite Maman because, as you said, it will reward repeat viewings, which is
lovely.
something that the game did not do.
For Ben and Adam.
Ooh.
Yes.
But for me, I love it every single damn time.
I haven't seen Portrait of a Lady yet. I have to watch that. And finally, wrapping things up, it's good old buddy Julio, who says, my good one, as in his film, his good film, I think, will rub Jamie and Ben the wrong way. Ooh. I thought The French Dispatch was pretty good. I mean, it's not going to change anyone's mind about Wes Anderson one way or the other, but I found it to be a pretty charming anthology with an admittedly weaker middle chapter that kept me laughing and arrived at a poignant ending. Surprised it hasn't got any love from the Academy, honestly. Well, Julio, you can make it your fan recommendation to the Academy Awards.
Oh, you can. Yeah. Haven't you watched it, Adam?
I watched it the other day.
And? Oh, yeah, you said you'd given up. Yeah, I did read that.
I just don't, yeah. It's probably one of his most best-looking films.
Well, he's got the money, so it should be.
Apart from that, nothing else really happens that's worth it, for my opinion. There's some decent moments, but they're way too spread out to actually have any interest in the film.
I think that there's nothing that...
It's just the way the characters speak.
Yeah, really I just don't like the style. I don't like the hipster style, but go over and check out Julio's appearance on We Watched the Thing podcast, because they covered it recently. And I listened to it and got myself spoiled because I'm not going to see that film, and they had a good convo about it. I didn't realise that it was like all of those cast members were split up. They weren't working together. It's on
Disney Plus now. If you did actually want to watch it,
I don't want to watch it. I don't, and I won't. I simply won't.
He won't, and he don't.
And finally, Julio says, as for the bad, well, Alex and I were tasked with watching Undead, a 2003 zombie movie from Australia. I was thinking this. Paul would like it. That's all I'm going to say. I was thinking that as soon as I saw the zombie. Well, Paul will probably like it.
So it means there's loads of practical gore?
Well, you just like zombie films regardless.
No, who says I like zombie films regardless?
Sorry. Yeah, I stand corrected. You like all zombie films that aren't the good ones, the original ones.
I like Dawn of the Dead.
Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, but
I don't like loads of fake blood. The more fake blood, the more Paul likes it.
Yeah, Brain Dead. And it also must have a sheriff in it.
Yep.
Yeah, you do love a policeman.
It needs a sheriff or a lawman of some sort.
A lawman? Maxie agrees.
Do you agree, Max? I can't find any clips of it online. Anyway, well, thanks for those.
Well, that's the end of our patrons anyway. Thank you so much for all those recommendations and not recommends. We will watch and not watch all of them.
Yes.
Pick and choose which films you want to place in which category.
Exactly.
And now, moment of truth. Adam, do you want to reveal what we're going to do on the next rung of our 1997 ladder?
Yes, I do. So the guys already know this because the way we're scheduling at the moment is we're kind of having to record another podcast basically in 2 days' time. So we had to try and stack the films in.
That's right.
This film contains an actor that was in my previous film.
Yes,
and it is also...
Which was Predator, yes.
A Predator, yes.
So Arnie is what we're going with, is it?
Yes.
Another Arnie.
Yeah, or it could be, I don't know, Carl Weathers.
Oh, yes. Could be Rocky.
Or
could
Shane
be a Rocky
Black.
film.
But it's not.
Yes, no. It's not. It's Arnie, yeah. And also it's very in keeping with a film that is coming out in a couple of days' time. Or it might already be out now this podcast goes out.
Oh.
And it is the 1997 epic Batman and Robin.
Oh, yes.
With George Clooney, who got voted World's Sexiest Man in this year.
Yes.
Yes.
There's
it's all
the
full
connection.
circle, this film.
Everything is connected, boys.
Yes.
And that probably means we've revealed that a film after that will be The Batman.
Yes, we are going to do a
Batman.
bonus 2022 episode on The Batman.
Absolutely
Or the Man
fantastic.
Bat.
Paul, for the first time on this podcast, will be talking about a Batman film. Because we haven't talked about a Batman film. Okay, Lego Batman, but that doesn't count, so I don't think, does it?
No, it's true. We've only spoken about Joker. So, yes, that's very exciting. We got a big Batman viewing in our future. Two double-barreled Batman films. Very exciting. One better than the other one, I'm pretty sure.
What, Batman and Robin versus being better than...
Who knows?
Robert
It could be
Pattinson.
either way. I'm not going to reveal my cards.
Now, Paul, if what should we say? When Twilight was in the peak of its whatever you want to call it, cultural rise, and Robert Pattinson was only known for that. If someone at that time had said to you, right, you can take 1997's Batman and Robin, or Robert Pattinson's going to be the next Batman, and you can watch that Batman film.
Had I already seen Batman and Robin?
No.
I would have... I don't know. I probably would have gone for Batman and Robin.
Yes. And having seen Batman and Robin?
I would go for... I was about to say Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum as
I would
Batman.
go for Robert Pattinson.
Really?
Who knows? We're talking...
It would be like the modern day equivalent
Hypotheticals.
of Chalamet being the next Batman.
I had no beef with Robert Pattinson.
You have beef with Chalamet?
I know. I don't really have beef with him. It's just I don't get everyone's hype around him.
This guy over here, dear listeners, in fact, I should have brought this up in the Patreon, but let me close this podcast out by saying I bought the gentleman June for his birthday, and it didn't even make his best of the month.
It didn't.
We didn't even get to talk about it.
He even spoke to you about
We
it.
did, because I had a nice conversation with us on the WhatsApp group because I had a feeling it wasn't going to make it.
But all I said was, I could see why you'd say that.
I know, he didn't want to even talk to me about it.
Because you broke my heart.
I had a one-way conversation.
You broke my heart. Well, anyway, that's what we're doing, Batman and Robin.
Absolutely. But until then, remember you can go subscribe to our Patreon channel, www.patreon.com/filmbusters, or we'll just see you next time.
You are not sending me to the cooler.
Filmbusters.